First story. My ex's husband bullies my son, restricting what he eats, which causes my son to sneak food. And my ex's husband used it to humiliate and fat shame my son in front of me. My ex supported him, saying our son broke the rules and he deserves the humiliating. I lost it and called her husband a bully who will not and never will be a father to our son. Throwaway. Fake names. I 31M have split custody of my son, Marcus 12M, with my ex, Lena 30F. Lena and I split up shortly after he was born and stayed friends, but have been less communicative since she married Eric 42M 4 years ago. We have had disagreements. I don't approve of certain things they've been doing, and they think I spoil him, but until recently we managed to keep things civil. Marcus is a great kid, and I love him. He's smart, funny, and caring, and he's taught me so much about being a human. Having him saved my life and changed it for the better. He's also more or less my only family, so I really treasure him and our time together. Recently, he's gotten chubby and depressed, which I only mention because it's relevant. I was concerned about my son gaining weight, but I didn't want to do much other than make sure we eat healthy. He's still active in sports, which I encourage, and a lot will change with puberty. His mom and stepdad are upset, though, and I now know that they had Marcus on a restricted diet and are putting a lot of pressure on him to lose weight. At first it didn't seem like much, but it became more unreasonable. For example, before this incident, I got in trouble with Eric for buying Marcus a size up in clothes, since he thought that he should trim down to fit his old ones better. I told him that I wasn't going to apologize for giving my son pants. He never responded. Last week, when I came to pick him up, Marcus was still packing his bag. Lena invited me inside for coffee, and we were making small talk when I heard shouting. Apparently Marcus had been hiding snacks in his room. Eric found candy bars in his overnight bag, which they no longer allow in the house, and pulled them out to show to us as evidence. I got upset when he called Marcus names and told him he wouldn't be fat if he weren't so greedy, and told him to treat my son with respect. Marcus went to the car, and things devolved. I said the thing in the title, called him a bully, and a lot of expletives got thrown around. I didn't hear from Lena until later when she texted to tell me that she was furious with me. I was still reeling from everything, so the conversation is a blur. I tried to tell her I was sorry, but that I couldn't understand why she would allow him to treat Marcus that way. She told me that while it was a bit much, Marcus broke their rules, and Eric was right that he should lose weight. She also told me that I don't know anything about the disrespect Marcus gives them, that I only experience the fun parts of being a parent, and accused me of encouraging bad behavior that she has to deal with. I had a talk with Marcus and told him I love him, and he has nothing to be ashamed of. He seems better, but I'm not looking forward to taking him back to his mom's home. I know I made things worse, and I should have removed myself from the situation, but I wouldn't feel right if I didn't at least stand up for my son. Ada. Some of OP's comments. Custody agreement. OP custody is 50-50, EO every other week, and it's more even now. But my ex has taken him on several times when work or school got out of hand for me, so he's been with her more on average. I owe her for that, and I want to make it up to her. But I need to reflect on and talk to her about the idea that I'm the fun parent and how I can fix that. That being said, it's kind of a secondary concern right now considering what's going on with my kid. I didn't think it was that weird and probably underestimated the issue based on my judgment of my child's weight changes being normal, but I should have picked up on other red flags. If this is what's happening in front of me, I fear it's very likely much worse, and just making my home a safe space for my kid isn't enough. What I'm getting from this situation is that I really need to talk to a bunch of professionals. Commenter. NTA. Your comment about being in trouble with Eric concerned me deeply. You are Marcus' father, not Eric. It is Eric who should be in trouble with you for daring to criticize buying larger clothes for Marcus. I doubt screaming will do any good. Eric sounds like a bully. Suggest you speak with an attorney and put Eric in his place. OP, honestly, I've been feeling like I live in the Twilight Zone since then. It was so bizarre and insane, I started wondering if I was crazy. Commenter. Ash. Has your ex taken your son to the doctor? Is she following medical advice on weight loss? Did you ask her about any of that? I recommend that you and your ex, and not her husband, sit down in a neutral place when neither of you is angry and discuss what's best for your son. Everyone needs to drop the ego and concentrate on what's best for Marcus. Does he need to modify his diet? Be more active. Is there something going on medically? Figure it out. If he does need to lose weight, then work with a dietitian who works with prepubescent kids. Restricting food to the point that he's hiding it is not healthy. OP. I don't know if I should have included this in the post, but to the best of my knowledge and based on the conversations I've had with Marcus since, this doesn't seem to be based on any actual medical advice or have entailed any visits to a doctor. From what I've gathered, it's just a very broad, drastic restriction of his food intake, which is making things worse. That being said, I need to hear more from my son and my ex before I come to any conclusions. This is also wildly out of character for her. I've never seen her be cruel to anyone, especially not our son, and I'm worried for her too. I definitely want to take him to a doctor myself and get some expert advice and counseling on several fronts. This is a big wake-up call that I've horribly underestimated how bad things are. I didn't think it was anywhere near enough to justify this kind of action. But regardless of whether there's something physically wrong, like a thyroid problem, this is a deeply unhealthy situation for my child, and I need to make it right. Commenter. A lot of kids, especially boys, will chunk up before they shoot up. Unless a doctor has a concern, it shouldn't be an issue. They should be seeking medical advice before putting a child on a diet. NTA. OP. I fully agree with this, and I think this is abuse via huge overreaction to a weight change that could result in a serious vicious spiral. But I really do think I was wrong to handle it the way I did. Standing up for my son is one thing. I needed to shut that down and make some serious long-term changes to help him with his living situation. But letting that spiral into an out-of-control fight with another adult, who is still very much one of his guardians, isn't going to help him. Commenter. I think they all suck, because they could put their differences aside and talk about the situation in the best interest of the kid, instead of yelling at each other and having two different parenting styles. OP. After reading through this, I definitely F'd up that interaction. Standing up for my kid is one thing, but not removing myself from the situation before it escalated and letting it devolve like that is another, and it doesn't help my son. I'm definitely a lot more upset at his stepdad than I realized, and it's been building for a while. I do think my son's right ahead of a growth spurt that it's not an abnormal or concerning amount of weight, and that's why I wasn't worried, but I need to talk more to my ex. I care about her, and I very much want to have a discussion with her, but navigating her husband is going to be difficult. It's hard for me not to see his behavior as really cruel and bizarre. Either way, I have a lot of work to do. Do you discipline him at all? OP. Discipline. I honestly don't know what I'd discipline him for. I don't want to be a dad who considers my child above all wrongdoing, and I do want to hold high standards for my kid and teach him the right values. I've been questioning how well I do that after what my ex said, but he's really well behaved with me and makes a point to help care for our home and make my life easier when he's in my custody. So I haven't seen it personally. If he's acting up with his mom or anyone else, I do want to intervene and tell him that it's not okay to be disrespectful. But this is the first time she's complained about him to me. And in light of his stepdad being like this, I can't help but think that if he's acting out with them, it's not actually because of anything wrong with him. Mini update in comments. 2 hours later. Hi all. This is a lot of responses very fast, and I thank you for the support, suggestions, and the brutal honesty. I do think I was wrong to escalate the situation and not remove myself sooner. There are a lot of things I need to do as a father, and I value all of your feedback. I do want to respond to something. I've had a few people in the comments tell me that Eric is my son's other dad by virtue of being in that house and married to my ex. But I guess my problem is that I don't think he should be. I would be more than happy to welcome another parental figure in my kid's life. I don't think I have a monopoly on being dad or anything, but as it stands, my child hates and fears him. And I do not think anyone who does that to my child deserves to call themselves his parent. I felt the same way about my bio parents, and I refuse to acknowledge them as my family. So I guess that's where that comment about him not being my son's dad came from. That being said, I know I'm in the wrong for shouting at him out of anger instead of trying to be the adult. And this does nothing to help my son. I also don't want anyone blaming any of this on my son, or suggesting that he's being a DCK to his mom and stepdad. He's 12, and children act out of distress when adults treat them poorly or fail them, myself included. He's the only person in this situation who's not at fault. I will keep trying to talk to my ex, get counseling for my son, and seek out legal advice. OP clarifies. Commenter. If you're in Europe, generally they take children's rights more seriously than in the USA. OP, I am from Europe, but I'm not optimistic. I know it's a different time, but I grew up in a truly terrible home and was failed pretty badly by the system, even being from one of the best countries for children's rights. If I want things to be right for my son, I need to take care of it myself. OP is voted NTA. Update same post. 2 days later. Update. Thanks again for your responses. I am in touch with social services and filed for emergency custody since I don't see a non-legal way forward. Many pointed out the way my Lena and Eric treat my son would push him towards disordered eating or could be malnutrition. Unfortunately, it seems to be some degree of both. I learned more about what they let Marcus eat 901,000 calories per day versus the recommended 2,500 for active preteens, which pushed him to sneak food. The humiliation is also constant behind closed doors. I fear there's more he's afraid to tell me. He's physically okay according to a pediatrician, but hurt. I'm trying to make sure he knows he has nothing to be ashamed of, and that the person who should be ashamed is the one who did this. Other things in my ex's house. Eric apparently often starts nasty fights with Marcus. He has also said some pretty demeaning, disturbing things about my background, which is unsurprising. His mom gets shouted down when she tries to defend him. She both sides the situation afterwards, holding husband and child equally responsible. Lena reached out to apologize. She said that she knows Eric was wrong and promised to try and talk sense to him. I told her this wasn't enough and asked why she went along with it. She seemed to wake up when I told her that they seriously hurt Marcus and agreed that their behavior was unacceptable, but begged me to let her try and fix it. She seemed really tired and unwell and completely different from my former friend. I asked if she feels safe at home. She wouldn't give me a straight answer, but promised that she's not physically unsafe and will seek help if needed. I feel for her, but no longer trust her. I recorded the call just in case. We're in a one-party consent country and will keep gathering evidence. Honestly, I'm scared. I was failed badly by social service courts as a kid, so I don't have faith in them. It's also complicated because Lena and I never married. I'm a legal guardian, but we had Marcus as teens with no support, and there's a complex history. I'm saving details for the lawyer to get advice specific to my situation, but I'm not letting Eric near my son. Some of OP's comments. Commenter. NTA. Something is going on in that house, and it isn't good for your son. If he does have an eating disorder, then it could have developed from whatever is happening in that house. FYI, it is never about food. My question is, why did your son not tell you this was happening? More to the point, what other weird stuff is occurring? Eric should not be trying to parent your son. It sounds like he bullies your boy and the child's mother. His call to you about buying your kid pants was a weird dominance flex against you. Basically, Eric has no respect for any of you, and your son is suffering due to it. I wonder why his mother can't see that. What has changed over the last 4 years? OP. It's a lot uglier than what I've written. Honestly, there are so many details and minor escalations over the years that I'm putting together in my head. From what my son has told me, the weight shaming is much worse in that house, with some truly disgusting comments about his body that make what I witnessed look mild by comparison. I understand why he's scared or embarrassed to talk about it. He was already tearing up when he admitted that to me, and it's hard for children to discuss that kind of humiliation. The dominance flex. I've always been aware that Eric looks down on me, though he never said it to my face until our fight. I work a blue-collar job, didn't go to school, and had my kid at 18, and he thinks that this makes him more responsible or fit to parent than I am. There are other elements to it, until he's called me a lot of things in front of my son and ex. But that's how he saw me from the start, and it's only gone downhill from there. Commenter. I think lots of people would react the same way, or more explosively, to someone being abusive to their child. I also don't think someone like Eric, a grown man who starves a child based on your update on Marcus' caloric intake recently, he is actually being starved, and then screams at them and calls them names, is necessarily the kind of person who would be receptive to a calm and rational explanation of why that is inappropriate. OP. Oh yeah, no. If I had known what I know now 5 days ago, my reaction would have been much, much worse. Second story. I did a caught cheating prank on my boyfriend with his friend half naked to see his reaction, and my entitled boyfriend broke up with me, claiming I disrespected him by refusing to even watch the video that proves I didn't cheat. Secret voices. This story is heavy with comments on OP's response. I thought these convos provide more info on OP's situation, so I left them. I 26M broke up with my girlfriend 25F of 2 years because of something that happened recently. And now my friends are saying I massively overreacted. So, a few days ago, my girlfriend and a close mutual friend decided to play a prank on me. The prank was that they filmed a scenario where I caught them in bed together, pretending they were hooking up. They set up a hidden camera in the bedroom, and when I walked in, I saw him in just boxers and my girlfriend in a bra and panties, straddling him, acting like they were mid-hookup. To make it more realistic, they even made some noises and tried to act like it was happening for real. I was shocked and furious, and immediately confronted them, as I thought it was real at first, like an actual betrayal. And then I walked out of the room and started leaving the house when they followed me, screaming it was just a prank, and then showed me the video they'd been recording. To be honest, I felt completely betrayed, not just by the idea of the prank, but also because of how they had gotten undressed to film it. I know it's meant to be funny to some people, but for me, it felt disrespectful, and I was hurt. The whole thing felt like a violation of trust, even though I know they weren't actually cheating. I told her I couldn't be in a relationship with someone who would do something like that, and I ended things right there. She's devastated, and our friends have been telling me I overreacted. They think it was just a harmless prank, and I should have taken it better. But I can't shake the feeling that it crossed a line for me, especially with how intimate and uncomfortable it felt to see them in that situation, even if it wasn't real. Now I'm left wondering if I made the right decision. I'm starting to doubt myself, because everyone else seems to think I blew it out of proportion. Edit. I did not expect this many responses. Thank you, guys. She posted here earlier and sent me a link to her post. I know she wants me to watch the video to prove it was all set up and planned. But I feel she still doesn't get that I am upset about her disregard and disrespect for me and our relationship. Anyways, I am going to sign off for the night. Relevant comments. Avaba. They're massive arseholes. There are things it's okay to joke about or prank someone with. Fear of spiders. A rubber spider in a drawer is fine. Afraid of snakes. Putting a rubber snake on your driveway while you're at work is fine. Most people will just drive over it or hit the brakes. But this is not something to prank someone with. You and she had an intimate bond, I assume, and she decided to pretend to have an intimate bond with someone else for a prank and film it. Why? Why film it? To post it online. If they post it online, it's probably to make you look bad, like you're such a weak man that even though you caught her cheating, you still want to be with her. NTA. She was either going for attention or trying to make you look bad. OP. I asked her what she planned to do with the recording, and she said she had hoped I'd come to find it funny too, and be on board with her posting it on YouTube. Why the F she would think that I would be remotely interested in doing that, I will never know. Dr_Lucia. You made the right decision. Other people don't get to decide what sort of prank goes past your line for pranks. If your ex-GF really was devastated, maybe she'll learn that trying to pull elaborate pranks can backfire on her, and she won't do it to other people in the future. NTA. OP, thank you. I was going crazy with everyone around me gaslighting me into thinking I was overreacting. Vice Environment 6627. NTA. And you were not comfortable with that. And that's okay. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes, I say. Do what you feel is best. And on a side note, there is no reason to strip for a dumb prank like that, lol. And straddling in underwear. That's just disrespectful. OP. This was a whole other thing. I told her they didn't need to strip down to do this. She said she was trying to make it more believable. Numda25. So two adults, who were comfortable enough being in their underwear together and assuming an SX position, think you are overreacting. OP. I can't make it make sense either. Vice Environment 6627. No, that's crossing a line and can be seen as cheating by some, to be honest. What was the point of the prank? Just to hurt you for SHTS and giggles. The whole concept of cheating pranks is so stupid. OP, pretty much. That's how I see it too. And she says I am insane for equating it with cheating. Ultimately, what led to the breakup was her not realizing how f***ed up what she did was. Away understanding 34. NTA at all. They were nearly naked doing a prank that was designed to cause you pain. They are at best insensitive idiots, and so are the friends calling it a harmless prank. It's not harmless. That situation is something that causes harm, especially with how intimate and uncomfortable it felt to see them in that situation, even if it wasn't real, but it was real in a way. They may not have had SX in that instance, but she was in her bra and panties, straddling him. Why was she so comfortable doing that? I would never do that with any of my guy friends. They could have kept their clothes on and just made noises while sitting apart behind the closed door. What they did was intimate, so clearly they are comfortable with each other in that way. I am not fully convinced nothing has ever happened. She can be devastated all she wants, but hopefully this serves as a lesson to her to respect the relationship she's in. Move on to someone more mature and ready to be in a committed adult relationship. OP. I never considered it might have been real to some extent. But yeah, come to think of it, I would definitely not have been comfortable if I were in the same position had the roles been reversed. Darth Pimpin 69. I'm curious whose idea it was. If it was the XGF, that's messed up. If it was the friend, it wasn't a prank. He wanted to break you up. OP. Apparently, they came up with the idea together a few days before they did it. Quantum 74. Easy reality check. If you had done that to her, what would the reaction be? Ask your friends the same thing, NTA. OP. She said she would have been shocked at first, of course, but then found it funny. Knowing how jealous she can get, I don't believe it for a minute. Infinite Wish 1763. NTA. How does your girlfriend of 2 years not know you well enough to know what you'd find funny? Like, even if you prank all the time with each other, she should know you and what you would find actually funny. If you're not laughing, it's not actually a prank. It's just them hurting you and then blaming you for being hurt. OP. Yup, I told her that. She says she wanted to try something new and unexpected and didn't think I would feel so strongly about it. Form 1040. Never talk to either of these idiots again. Were they going to put this video online? OP. Yeah, that was the plan. Excellent. Highway 884. Your friends aren't your friends if they're supporting your ex-girlfriend and saying you're overreacting. Honestly, I wouldn't want people like that around me. And what outcome did the two of them expect? You to be, okay, funny, haha, and be able to move on and trust them both. You walking out is underreacting, and just breaking off the relationship is definitely nowhere near overreacting. A lot of people would have resorted to some form of overreaction with their hands if put in that situation. And yet you were the mature one and walked away. Be proud of yourself and how you handled it. NTA. OP. My immediate reaction was shock, which is why I walked away. But as soon as it sunk in, I would have gone back and beat him up, and she knows it. She says she wasn't going to let it get that far. Tulidomsk. I'd bet this was a prank to throw you off the scent. How comfortable did they seem? OP. Too comfortable, and he's not a long-term friend of mine or hers either. We've known him for just over a year. Sound gangster. I hope you show her this thread. NTA. OP. I shared this post with her, him, and my friends so they'd get off my case and see what others have to say about this. Sabathaturtles 1 in 126. NTA. I am curious as to what your supposed friend has to say for himself. How is he justifying your ex grinding on him in their underwear and moaning in pleasure as being funny? Is he claiming that he didn't get at least semi-hard having your ex grinding on top of him? And he can look at you with a straight face and think they did nothing wrong? OP. They say they didn't grind. She just sat on him. Like that makes it any better. Dandelianqua. I mean, does she not consider half-naked dry humping a form of cheating? Because many people would. You want to be with a partner you are on the same page with about these things. This prank is cruel, and it's also a weird excuse for her to get sexual with a friend. Red flag after red flag. Reading this, I assumed you guys were like college kids. 25 is a bit old to be playing these games. OP. I thought I was too old for this SHT2. Told her the same thing. That she dry humped a guy while half naked in our bed is cheating. She insists she just sat there. And there was no grinding like that makes a difference. Kankantalib 136. One more question, though, a critical one. Is the guy gay by any chance? OP. No, he is straight. I would have the same reaction, even if he were gay, though, or if she did it with a woman. Her behavior was disrespectful, in my opinion. Anyway. OP, you've been with her for how long? 2 years? And she had no idea how this was going to go over with you. That's pretty sketchy. Do you have a wacky, weird sense of humor? Does she have a history of doing pranks? I can't see anyone thinking this was a good idea. Why would you do that to someone you love and care about? The whole idea is screwed up enough to show you are enta for how you reacted. Did the two of them tell any of your other friends ahead of time that they were doing this prank? Someone else suggested they were going to film themselves together when you stepped into the room. Any thought that could be possible? What did the mutual male friend do when things blew up? Get dressed and slink away. What has he had to say to you and your friend group? Edit to ask. Is the mutual male friend in a relationship with someone? If so, how's his partner taking to the prank? Update me. OP. She mentioned a while ago that she finds these pranks on YouTube and TikTok hilarious. But I never suggested I liked them or watched them, or had any interest in being on the receiving end of one. No, they didn't tell anyone. They planned and executed the whole thing themselves. He put on his pants and chased after me, just as she was yelling, "Bro, it's just a prank. He is single." Friends watched the video and thought it was a funny prank. Crackers. What conclusions? If they can fake cheating, what's stopping them from real cheating? Jumping to conclusions, in my opinion, would be something like accusing them of lying about recording for a prank. As far as you and we know, it was an insurance policy to gaslight you in case you did catch them. But saying it was disrespectful, poor taste, and just outright cruel isn't jumping to conclusions. It's stating facts. OP. Some are accusing her of sleeping with him, which I totally understand, and I can't shake the possibility of it being true. She says she is hurt by this accusation. tht-askreddit. Are you still pals with the guy? Or is it just your ex-GF you're mad at? OP. Nope. I told him off for partaking in this, and cut him off as well. Wildgunner 1981. Did they know that you were home with them? What's the context there? Or did you just walk in and find them? OP. I came home and heard sounds coming from the bedroom. When I walked in, I found her on top of him. Update 4 hours later than the original post. Boru posters note. Usually, I don't post multiple POVs. But in this case, OP said that he showed the post to his ex-girlfriend and friends, and also said that she made a post herself that is now deleted. I think my boyfriend is overreacting for breaking up with me over my caught cheating prank. Ada. My boyfriend posted here a few hours ago, and shared the link with me to show me what people thought about what I did, and that he is not overreacting. I thought I'd come on here and give my version of events for a more nuanced take. I planned the cheating prank with our close mutual friend several days ago. We were hanging out and scrolling through TikTok videos and came across prank shorts between couples. We went down the rabbit hole and ended up watching YouTube videos of cheating pranks. And I mentioned it would be funny to try a cheating prank on my boyfriend to find out what his reaction would be. He said he would do one with me, and I agreed because it was someone my BF liked and trusted, so I thought it would be harmless. It started out as a hypothetical plan, but over the course of the conversation, and while hashing out details, it turned into a real plan, and we agreed to the day we would do it, when my BF would be out and come back home to find us together. We set up the camera and filmed ourselves talking about the prank and set it up on top of the dresser in the bedroom and got into position. We were laughing throughout, and it is all on video. To make it believable, I told him to take off his shirt. He said I should probably do the same, so we did. Then he thought it would be even more believable and provide that shock factor if we also took off our pants. In hindsight, this was a terrible idea, but I agreed to it. You know how the rest of the story went from his post. But what he didn't mention is that he refused to watch the video I recorded showing that it was a planned prank, that we only took off our clothes and got into SX positions when we knew he was home. I understand that this prank was extra and hurtful to him, and for that I am sorry. But I am not cheating on him, and I did not mean to disrespect our relationship. I think him breaking up with me is a massive overreaction because other than this incident, which I now massively regret, our relationship was great. We shared 2 wonderful years together and moved in together over the summer. I plan on deleting the video and won't be sharing it on social media, but I will share it with him first for proof of my intentions. The girlfriend was voted YTA. OP responded to a few more comments in his original post. Scotswee. Get another friend to watch the video. OP. All our friends watched it and said it was obviously just a prank, and I should not be breaking up with her over it. Sabatheterdals 126. What does the video show they did? And what does he specifically have to say for himself, man to man, about betraying a friend's trust for a prank that wasn't even remotely funny? OP. Never saw the video, and I stopped answering his messages and calls. Academic Respect 278. OP. You say you watched the video. In the edit, you seem to say you haven't watched the video, leaning towards this post being a prank. OP. In my original post, I said they showed me the video as I was leaving the house. I should have clarified. They were chasing me, waving the camera with a video recording, and were trying to show me the recording, but I left the house without seeing it. I haven't seen the video as of yet. Third story. My wife's best friend kissed me after her breakup, and my wife punished me for coming clean, accused me of cheating, and restricted me from meeting any girls. I have been married to my wife for 2 years. She and her best friend have been friends for more than 15 years, way before I met my wife or her. And to be honest, I never saw or noticed that my wife's friend had something for me. Her friend and I have been alone quite often, and not once did she try to make a move. It has always been platonic. Her friend, I will call her Lynn, for obvious reasons. Lynn and I have been close, not that close, but close enough to consider each other as friends, and I didn't have a problem with it. Neither did my wife. Lynn visits us almost every week or twice a month, give or take. My wife doesn't drink, but I do, and Lynn does, so whenever she visits us, we both drink and spend time together. Sometimes she brings her boyfriends, sometimes she comes alone. But 2 days ago Lynn showed up at our home drunk. She was so drunk, she couldn't even walk properly. I still am surprised how she drove herself to our place. I asked her to come inside, and she was crying so damn much I thought something bad happened to her. I tried to comfort her, but she just hugged me and kept saying that she wished she could find a man like me, and all of her boyfriends dumped her and kept talking gibberish. I just stood still and let her vent. But suddenly she started kissing me, and I was shocked for a moment. But I shook her off of me and asked her what that was about. She said she was sorry, and I asked her to stay away. She kept crying and apologizing, but I asked her to stay away. After a lot of talking and her venting, I knew I couldn't let her drive, so I dropped her off. And when my wife got back, she asked me why Lynn's car was here. I told her everything except the kissing part. Since then Lynn has been texting me a lot and giving me a lot of explanation and begging me not to tell my wife, and she will not repeat the same mistake, and she genuinely thinks it was a mistake, or so I think. She keeps saying that if I do tell my wife, she will lose her best friend. I haven't replied to her yet, and I didn't tell my wife either. But I am kind of scared right now. On one hand, I don't want my wife to lose her best friend if she really has made a genuine drunken mistake, because she was really effing drunk. But on the other hand, I shouldn't be hiding stuff from my wife, and if it ever comes out, my wife will probably stop trusting me. I am kind of stuck here. I know she will be hurt, but should I hurt her? It's no affair or sleeping if she was under the influence, and if we can bury it all up and move, and me and Elle stay away from each other going forward. Ada has no consensus bot. OP received the majority of YTAs and few others. Relevant top comments. Commenter 1. YTA. You should have told your wife everything. OP. Yes, I agree, and I still want to. I feel bad. It's like I am cheating or something. That's the way I have been feeling. But I was thinking if Lynn has genuinely made a mistake, then I shouldn't break her and my wife's friendship as long as we stay away from each other going forward. I know my wife wouldn't take it well. She would be devastated if she found out. She trusts both of us, and I want to spare her the suffering if I can, which is why I withheld it. This is so confusing. To be honest, I shouldn't have let Lynn inside, just dropped her off at her place, and called it a day. Commenter 2. NTA. But you have got to tell your wife. Otherwise you won't ever be safe again alone in a room with Lynn. If you let this slide, she will only get bolder. Whether your wife doubts your story or accepts it, everything is better than living the rest of your life in fear of being assaulted again and then being seen as the wrongdoer. OP. I will never ever share a room alone with Lynn. I will keep my distance from her and minimal contact. But the only thing I am concerned about right now is how my wife will react. Commenter 3. It's hilarious you think your wife won't already be pissed that you kept it from her for a week. Keeping secrets about who kisses you from your partner isn't a good idea. Commenter 4. YTA. You are not making your wife lose her best friend. You are simply giving your wife the necessary information she needs to make a choice she is entitled to make. Your wife is perfectly capable of weighing all the excuses you are making up for her friend. She was drunk. She apologized. She was lonely herself and can choose to forgive her friend if she wants. She doesn't need you to take that choice away from her. Also, save a copy of all her friends' messages right now, so she can't spin it as you instigating the kiss. Update. 5 days later. I decided to tell my wife everything. I thought about it a lot and decided that I should tell her everything instead of hiding it. TLDR. My wife's best friend showed up at my place. She was very drunk. I helped her, but she was so drunk she kissed me. But she couldn't even walk properly, so I dropped her off. I told my wife everything except that her friend kissed me. So after a lot of thinking and finding a way to get past all this, I decided to tell my wife. When I told my wife everything, she was pissed, angry like never before. She asked me why I had hidden it from her, why I didn't tell her. I said I was scared. I hoped that I could hide it all, and I didn't want you to lose your lifelong friend over a mistake. But then I realized that if I continued to hide the truth from you, I might end up losing you, and I don't want to lose you. My wife asked me if I ever cheated on her. I said I never cheated and never will. She started crying and said, How can I betray her when she trusted me so much? I hugged her and said I never betrayed her and will never betray her. I am coming clean because I don't want to lose you. I was as shocked as you are right now when she kissed me. My wife, after she stopped crying, said that I am not allowed to talk to any of her friends, and I am to stay away from other women except our family members. My wife also asked me to block Lynn. When I asked her what she will do, she said it's between her and Lynn, and I don't have to worry about it. She demanded an open phone policy and complete transparency from me. I agreed. She said if I ever tried to hide anything from her, no matter what it was, she would leave me. I agreed because I don't ever want to hide anything from her. I don't know what happened and what both of them talked about, and my wife wouldn't tell me either. All she says is, none of my business. She's still super pissed at me, and I try my best to make her happy and end up doing embarrassing private stuff for her, which I never was and still am uncomfortable doing, but at least my wife is happy. I do not know what else I could have done, but I tried my best and gave it my all. I came clean, told her everything, did everything she asked of me, and tried my best to please her. She's still angry, but at least she is with me and isn't leaving me unless I make another stupid arse mistake. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Why is she pissed at you? You literally didn't do anything from what you've written here. I think it's time for couples counseling to address why she's blaming you for her friend's betrayal. OP. Probably because I didn't tell her the truth and tried to hide it from her. I don't blame her. Commenter 2. What does kiss mean in this context? A quick peck on your cheeks, or a long kiss on the lips with more involvement? Crucial info regarding why she is mad at you. OP. She was drunk and kissed me on the lips until I pushed her away from me. I dropped her off to her because I couldn't let her drive when she couldn't even walk properly. Commenter 2. That doesn't really explain the expectation that you have no contact with women outside the family. She's taking this a bit too far and trying to address the bad behavior of others by controlling you. OP. Yeah, I know she's taking it too far, but can I blame her? She's obviously hurt because she trusted me and her friend to the point she was comfortable with us both spending time together, even when we are alone. At best, I can do right now is agree to her demand until my wife calms down. I tried to hide it from my wife, but I was scared that it might blow up in my face. And now that I came clean, it still blew up in my face. So the best I can do is let her calm down. And until then I do what she asks. Way better than losing my wife for something I didn't even do. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.